Right before we jump into this video, if you'd like me to send you a free guide to capturing motion in low light situations, just look for this orange box over on phronosphoto.com, put your name, email address in it, hit send it. I'm gonna send you that guide for free. Jared Polin, phronosphoto.com, and this is a review of the Sgima 16 to 300mm f3.5 to 6.7 DC OS contemporary lens. Now, the DC means that this is designed for cropped sensor cameras. Now, this isn't just for Sony E Mount, which is the one that I'm holding right now. It's also available for the L Mount as part of the L Mount Alliance. It's also available for the X Mount, which is Fuji, as well as the Canon RF Mount, and does get full autofocus there. Sgima did not have the Canon one to send to us just yet. That's why I am reviewing the version that is the Sony. Now, you might have noticed I did not say that it's available for the Nikon Z Mount, so if you're looking for this lens for your Nikon camera, you are SOL. They do not have that option as of now. Like I just said, this is for crop sensor cameras. Now, it is 16 to 300 zoom, the equivalent of 18.8 times zoom. Now, for those who know full frame equivalents for 35mm, that is a 24 to 450mm, which basically makes this the one lens to rule them all type of thing for crop sensors, because 24 to 450 covers everything you could ever think of. From your wide angle landscape shots or at birthday parties indoors, it's gonna do that. To reaching out and grabbing people at a distance, you know, with pictures, not reaching out and actually touching them, because that should get you arrested in most places around the world. But this is an incredible range. But with incredible ranges comes incredible compromises, which we will get to in this review. So I shot this lens on the Sony A6700. That is their latest generation of crop sensor camera, so I could take advantage of their better autofocus that they had. So what did I go and photograph? Well, I was down in Florida testing out the Sgima 300 to 600, which is a $6,000 lens that you're probably not buying. But while I was down there, I did photograph some golfers playing golf at a Pro-Am, which was a lot of fun. And I also took it out to a Philadelphia Union game, because that would give me the ability to shoot the wide angle to get the stadium, but also zoom in and see if it is capable for shooting sports. Now let's take a look at the outside of the lens. I mean, this is a small lens. It comes in at this amount, which I was always told is like 10 inches, but this is really not 10 inches. This is actually 4.8 inches. That's only 4.8 inches? Are you kidding me? That's 4.8. They tell lies. They tell lies. This is, get out the tape measure, Steven. For reference, this is an iPhone 15 Max. I guess that's 4.8. That's a big 4.8 inches. Whew. Anyway, it weighs in at 1.36 pounds or 615 grams. So it is not a heavy lens. Now, it does have a lock switch on it. That is basically the only switch you have on this lens. What is the lock there for? I can't zoom when it's locked. And the reason they do that is because when you unlock it and you give it a little shaky shake, it's gonna go ahead and it starts to creep like that. So if you're walking or doing something, it's gonna creep. Now, it didn't do a lot of creeping just holding it, because you have to actually give it some force, but it will creep if you're walking or going upstairs. At some point, it's gonna start to twist and turn. You do have a 67mm filter thread, correct? Yep, 67mm lens cap in case you do lose this. Oh, by the way, don't get a cap keeper. Those are like so 1993. They were the things that you would stick on the front and then it hangs and dangles off the front of your camera. Nothing says amateur more than a cap keeper. I sold a lot of cap keepers when I worked at the camera store. You don't need that. Put this back in your bag or put it in a back pocket so you don't lose it. Other than that, you do have a manual focus ring right here, which you'll never use. And when it comes to zooming, we have to unlock it and we go ahead and we turn just like this. So this is 300, this is 16. So 16 all the way out to 300, and that's more like it. It's a grower, not a shower. So that's the difference you get right there. So it is nice and compact, but remember, as you zoom, it's going to extend like that. One other thing that is nice to have in this lens is the optical stabilization, or what Sgima calls OS. That means you're gonna get extra stabilization when you are shooting with slower shutter speeds to help compensate for any motion blur that you might introduce from you shaking the camera. Remember that OS does not freeze the subject. So if a subject is flying across your screen and you're at a super slow shutter speed, the background's gonna be nice and in focus and nice and still, but that person is still going to blur. So it doesn't freeze the people, it compensates for your motion so that the background and other things are gonna be nice and still. But let's take you out to Florida, where I photographed my buddy, mystery man here, Mr. Swingman. He was out doing a Pro-Am, and I joined him for the day to test out that other lens I was talking about, but I also took photos with this bad boy right here. So as you can see, this one is at 32 millimeters. Now when I zoom in on him, he looks perfectly fine. He looks nice and sharp. So the focus found his face without a problem. Now around his Swingman logo, I do see some fringing going on, but that is to be expected in a mega super zoom lens like this. Is it going to be a deal breaker for most people buying this? And the answer is no. The people buying a lens like this are people that just want a lens to take pictures. Basically better than what their cell phone could do. Because if you zoom in 10 times on your cell phone, it's gonna look like garbage. This is by far gonna blow that out of the water. Is it the greatest thing since sliced bread? The answer is no. It's part of the contemporary line. I basically call it the Spirit Airlines of lenses. Not Sgima, because Sgima also makes like I almost said Boeing, but we kind of don't want to say Boeing anymore. They make like the A380 of lenses, like the highest end. They have that, that's the art. They also make the sport, and contemporary is meant to be their more affordable line of lenses. I think that this lens harkens back to the 10, 15, 20 years ago type of Sgima lenses that they used to make, which were the mega zooms, where the quality wasn't, very good. The quality has gotten much better even in this compared to those old ones. Let me jump in here real quick because I want to show you FROPAC 4 in action on this photo right here, taken with a Canon, starting with Blue's Clues, followed by Brooklyn, C41, Copper Tone, High C, Kaleidoscope, Mel Brooks, Saltwater Taffy, Thick, Tintype, and Wet Hot American Summer. But check this out. My all-time favorite from FROPAC 1 is Skittles. With one click of a button, we go boom. But check this out. Exclusive and all new to FROPAC 4, we've got 4 custom adaptive Lightroom presets that include Face Enhance, Full Body Enhance, Eye Only Enhance, as well as Background Blur. So look, if you want to speed up your RAW workflow, give yourself a great starting point, or you're just tired of other people's presets sucking, ours don't suck. We've created 14 all-new custom Lightroom presets that you can check out right now at froknowsphoto.com/FROPAC4. While you're over there, you can play with the sliders to see the befores and the afters, and if you decide to pick them up right now, they are currently on sale. Or if you want to get the Grand Slam bundle that includes FROPAC 1, 2, 3, and 4, and of course Skittles, you will save even more. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, as we go forward to the next photo, which is me zooming in on Junior right here, this one is done at only 82 millimeters, but really nice. The color looks fine. The sharpness looks great on his eyes. He looks fine. Now, this is at 5.6. This is what they call a variable aperture lens, where at 16 millimeters, we're gonna be at f3.5. As you zoom out, all the way to 300 and everywhere in between, the aperture is going to change because it's variable aperture. So all the way out at 300, we are at 6.7. So you are losing a little bit more light. It's gonna get darker as you zoom in, and it's gonna get brighter as you bring it in wider. That's why I recommend, if you're gonna shoot this indoors at a birthday party, you don't go much past 45 millimeters, or right around anywhere from 16 to about 35 might be the range that I would only use indoors, and then outdoors is when you use the full-on zoom. So a lot of times, most of you are going to be shooting in auto ISO because it's going to compensate for that. Now, while Junior was practicing, I got down low. It looks like I was at 17 millimeters and not fully at 16. Not a big deal. It's just showing you how wide you can get a scene with this. I mean, it is an incredible range, but it doesn't mean that it's going to produce the most sharp images, though these look pretty good. Now, when we jump out to the soccer match, I shot the Philadelphia Union in Philly, don't even know who they were playing at the time, just to see how this lens handled. Now, let's show you 16 millimeters. This is your 16, and this is impressive. This is 300 millimeters. So you can see side by side what 16 gives you and what 300 gives you. It's insane the range that you have. This is that one lens that someone who isn't, I'm not gonna say not serious about photography, but they're not looking to be pro and they don't need the best of the best with honors serve results and they're just happy with the results they're gonna get. This is the type of range that you personally would want. Now let's move on to some of the action to see how the autofocus is. Now this has HLA motors. I don't know if it's multiple or one. If I had to guess, it's one. It's their hypersonic motors that's supposed to be super fast. I didn't have any problem with focus hunting, at least on the Sony camera. Remember that when you put this on a different camera, the motors are gonna be the same, but the systems are going to focus differently, so you might get different focus results depending on the system that you're using. But on the A6700, the autofocus worked very well. It tracked the subjects well. Also, you need to know that if you're going to be zooming at the same time as you're shooting, you can't zoom and focus at the same time. But with that being said, I don't think it's even possible for you to zoom and shoot at the same time because it's super hard to do this. I want to actually put this on because I want to show you how difficult it actually is. Boom. Put this on. It is a tight turn. So watch. That's how far I need to turn to go from 16 to 300. But it's not even that as an issue. It's that I can't just use my thumb. I can't rotate just with my thumb. I need to exert some force on it to get it to zoom. It's like in the middle, it's pretty quick, and then out at the end, it gets a little tighter, and same at the beginning. So that's something to keep in mind, that it's a little awkward to do it. I have to kind of do 2 twists to get there. That's something that I thought was important to mention so you understand that it's not you, it is a tight turning zoom. So keep that in mind when you're out there shooting. Now, in terms of action, we found the action at a distance. This is 300 millimeters, so I'm all the way out. But look at the background. The background's completely in focus for the most part because we're now at 6.7. So if you're photographing little Johnny or Jimmy or Joni or Chachi running around the field, your little league field playing soccer, and there's porta potties and people lined up in the background, and you're shooting across the field, you're most likely going to see those porta potties. Well, no, you are going to see those porta potties in the background and the little kid picking his nose in the background completely in focus. The only way you'd be able to not do that is spend $12,000 for like a 400 2.8, and then you could obliterate the background, but that's not what you're looking to do. Let me cut in here real quick and let you know that this video is brought to you by Squarespace. If you're looking to build your very own online portfolio, use what I've used for JaredPolin.com for well over 10 years at this point because it's simple, easy, affordable, and I don't need to know any coding. To get your free 14-day trial, head on over to squarespace.com/FroKnowsPhoto. If you decide that it's for you, use the code FroKnowsPhoto at checkout to get 10% off your first order. Now, let's get back to the video. You want to fill the frame as much as possible, which is what I tried to do in the next shot at 300 millimeters, and the background is still pretty much in focus. But what you really need to do is get closer to your subject. The closer you are to your subject, the more the background is going to blow out. So if I'm at 300 millimeters zoomed in on the goalkeeper, well, the goalkeeper is going to be in focus, but the background is going to be a little less in focus because they're closer to me. So if you're photographing someone closer, you have less of the background that's going to be in focus. A couple more examples of action. This happened in front of the net. This guy just beat a bunch of defenders, cut back to the middle. This is him kicking the ball to beat Blake here, and they do score a goal, and he tells the crowd to shush, shush, and then they booed him because that's what you do in Philly when someone does that. You just go ahead and you give them a Bowie McBooerson. A couple of other good action photos that are popped up on the screen right now. I'm happy with these results. Do I think that the image quality is the best ever? The answer is, look, I could zoom in on this and tell you, no. It's not gonna give you the greatest image quality in the world, but it's not meant to be. To do that. It's not meant for me to compare it to a 300 to 600 that I took out to the same soccer match. It's just not meant for that. This is a basic lens. So how much is it? it's $699. That is not bad for a one lens to rule them all. Not in quality, but it's not bad for what you get. As I already said, it's for people who just want to take better pictures of their kids than with their cell phone, and maybe one day they'll graduate to better lenses, but may not care so much about the quality because it's not giving you the greatest thing ever. It's giving you good enough, and if you just kind of set your camera to auto, you're gonna get fairly good results when you're out there shooting. So you can't really go wrong, but just understand it's really meant to be an outdoor lens, and if you're shooting indoors, you want to be around 16 to 35 on this to get as much light without losing as much of the aperture because of zooming. Now there is one other competitor on the market from Tamron that's an 18 to 300. This is a 16 to 300. They're going to be very similar in quality. That's just the nature of a mega zoom. Do I like that I can go slightly wider? Sure. You need to figure this out for yourself, which one might be the right one for you, but let's give it the sniff test and the wind tunnel test to feel what, the very important stuff. Philadelphia International Airport at the Spirit Airline Gate C8. That's right, that's where it was. What a smell. Wind tunnel test? Absolute brick wall of a wind tunnel test, which means it passed. So that's what I have to say about this mega zoom lens. I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are. Please leave them down below. Thank you guys very much for watching. Jared Polin, PhonosPhoto.com. See ya.